Arsène Lupin, 813, series episode for Conspiracy of Nations. Welcome back, Detective. The Brussels Peace Summit begins in 48 hours. Assassination teams are in position. Arsène Lupin must betray the conspiracy he's infiltrated, but one wrong move triggers either his death or a European war. Today, everything converges: deception, loyalty, sacrifice, and the terrible question, can one man's choice actually change history? Prepare for the moment when all masks fall. Picture this: July 15, 1910, Brussels. The Royal Palace gleams with preparations for the Peace Summit that will host France's Prime Minister Briand, Germany's Chancellor Bateman-Holweg, Britain's Foreign Secretary Grey, and a dozen other European leaders. Their goal: sign treaties preventing the militarization that's been escalating since 1870. But 813's goal is precisely the opposite: ensure these men never leave Brussels alive. Lupin arrives 3 days early as Armand Devereux, 813 coordinator with impeccable French military credentials. He checks into the Hotel Metropole under this identity, aware that 813 operatives are watching him, testing his loyalty, ready to kill him at the first sign of betrayal. Think about his situation. My apprentice, he's surrounded by assassins who trust him as one of their own, while plotting to destroy everything they've built. His first meeting is with the poisoning team, 3 men he's never met, introduced only as chemist, server, and logistics. The chemist explains his method with disturbing pride. Ricin derived from castor beans, refined to be tasteless and undetectable. Delayed onset, symptoms appear 6 hours after ingestion, by which time the toxin is irreversible. Death follows within 48 hours, presenting as natural heart failure or stroke in elderly men under diplomatic stress. Think about this coldly efficient murder methodology, Detective. They've designed the poison to activate after everyone leaves the dinner, creating a wave of seemingly natural deaths across Europe as heads of state die in their home capitals. No single event to investigate, just tragic coincidence that removes precisely the leaders advocating for peace. My role is ensuring the kitchen staff are properly positioned, the server explains. We have 3 Belgian servants replaced with our operatives. They'll handle the actual dosing of specific plates marked with subtle identifiers. The logistics coordinator ensures no contamination of other dishes, no witnesses, no complications. It's murder as catering logistics, death as menu planning. Lupin asks careful questions, mapping the operations details while maintaining his role. What about security screenings? The Belgian police will be checking staff backgrounds. Logistics smiles. Half the security personnel are ours. Background checks confirm our covers, even if someone gets suspicious. The chain of command leads to 813 members who'll reassure everyone. We own the investigation before it begins. But here's what troubles Lupin most. These aren't criminals. The chemist is a university professor. The server is a retired French military officer. Logistics is a Belgian civil servant. They're respectable people who've been recruited, radicalized, convinced that assassinating peace advocates serves national interest and personal profit. 813 has weaponized patriotism itself. That evening, Lupin meets secretly with Herlock Sholmes, who's in Brussels as part of the British security detail. His legitimate role providing perfect cover for their collaboration. I have all the details, Lupin reports. 3 Belgian staff members replaced by 813 operatives. Ricin poisoning during the closing dinner. Delayed onset to obscure the crime scene. Sholmes immediately sees the operational challenge. We can't simply arrest the poisoners without exposing your infiltration and alerting 813's other teams. The sniper and bomber are still unidentified. If we stop the poisoning but they succeed, leaders still die, and war still starts. We need to neutralize all three attempts simultaneously. Think about this coordination nightmare: detective, three separate assassination teams, operating independently, each with different methods and timing. Stopping one alerts the others. The intervention must be perfect, simultaneous, comprehensive, or it triggers exactly what it's meant to prevent. But there's a deeper complication. Inspector Ganimard, coordinating with Belgian police, reports a disturbing discovery. We've identified Inspector Daubral's location. He's here, in Brussels, operating openly as an official French security liaison. He's positioning our own security forces to enable the assassinations while appearing to prevent them. If we move against the assassination teams, he'll know immediately and warn the others. Lupin realizes the trap, so we can't use official channels because 813 controls them. We can't warn targets because 813 monitors their communications. We can't arrest operatives because 813 has people inside the arresting forces. We're trying to stop a conspiracy that's woven itself into the fabric of legitimate security. It's a paranoid's nightmare. Made real, the protectors are the threat. Sholmes proposes a desperate solution: create a parallel security operation using only people we absolutely trust. Your criminal network, my hand-picked British agents, Ganimard's few, verified honest officers. We operate outside official channels, preventing the assassinations through what will appear to be fortunate accidents and unlikely coincidences. We can't expose 813 publicly yet, we don't have enough proof for international prosecution. But we can silently sabotage their operation. It's vigilante justice on an international scale. Think about what they're planning: bypassing legitimate governments to prevent crimes those governments' own members are facilitating. Is this heroic or treasonous? Necessary or dangerous? The line between protecting nations and operating above their laws is desperately thin. The summit begins on July 18th. European leaders arrive to enormous crowds, brass bands, diplomatic ceremony. Newspapers celebrate this triumph of reason over militarism. But Lupin, watching from the shadows as Armand Devereux, knows the truth. These celebrations are funeral preparations. These optimistic speeches are epitaphs being written in real. His first target is the sniper team. Through 813's coordination role, he knows they're positioned in a building overlooking the Royal Palace courtyard, where Prime Minister Briand will give his opening address. Lupin sends one of his trusted criminals, a cat burglar named Lebo, to discover a gas leak in that building hours before the speech, forcing evacuation and police investigation that renders the sniper nest unusable. The sniper team, finding their position compromised, attempts to reposition. But everywhere they go, Lupin has arranged obstacles. Buildings suddenly undergoing maintenance. Windows that won't open, sightlines blocked by conveniently placed scaffolding. He's using his coordination role to sabotage the very operation he's supposed to be facilitating, creating chaos that appears accidental. Think about the psychological toll. My apprentice. Lupin is sabotaging while appearing to solve problems, creating obstacles while seeming to remove them, betraying 813 while maintaining their trust. Every conversation is a performance, every action serves dual purposes, every moment risks exposure and death. The bomber team proves more dangerous. They've planted explosives in the route Chancellor Bateman Hallvek's motorcade will take from his hotel to the Royal Palace. Sholmes, using British diplomatic privilege, requests a last-minute security review of the route, citing intelligence concerns that give him legitimate reason to examine the road. His people find the explosives disguised as road repair equipment, but removing them would alert Instead, Sholmes arranges for the Chancellor's motorcade route to change, due to traffic concerns, redirecting through a different street while Belgian bomb disposal quietly removes the devices under cover of routine maintenance. 813 operatives watching. It appears their perfect plan is collapsing through improbable bad luck rather than deliberate sabotage. But the poisoning team is the greatest challenge because Lupin is directly responsible for coordinating it. He's supposed to ensure the 3 replacement servants are in position, confirm the marked plates reach specific targets, verify the poisoning succeeds. 813 leadership is watching his performance closely. This is his test of true loyalty. Inspector Dalbrul approaches Lupin 2 hours before the closing dinner. Devereux, I need to verify you've confirmed our kitchen staff positioning. Walk me through the final setup. It's an inspection, a loyalty test, possibly a trap. If Lupin has betrayed them, Dalbrul will detect it now. If he's genuinely coordinating the poisoning, he'll demonstrate competence that ensures leaders die. Think about this impossible moment. Detective Lupin must convince Dalbrul he's genuinely facilitating assassination while actually preventing it. He walks through the kitchen showing where his operatives are positioned, except he's subtly misdirected them to wrong stations. He confirms plates are marked, but he's switched the marking system so poisoned plates go to empty seats. He verifies the poison is ready, but he secretly diluted it to non-lethal concentrations through a loyal member of the actual kitchen staff. Every answer he gives Dalbrul is technically accurate but functionally deceptive. He's telling the truth in a way that creates lies, confirming plans he's already undermined, demonstrating loyalty through the very act of betrayal. It's the most complex performance of his life. And failure means immediate execution followed by successful assassinations. Dalbrul seems satisfied. Excellent work, Devereux. Tonight, history changes, and you've been instrumental. 813 rewards loyalty after this succeeds. You'll have opportunities beyond imagination. He's offering Lupin everything a criminal could want: wealth, power, protection, legitimacy. All Lupin has to do is allow the poisoning to succeed. Let leaders die. Let war begin. For one terrible moment, Lupin hesitates. Think about the temptation. My apprentice. He spent weeks infiltrating 813, sacrificing his moral identity, crossing lines he swore never to cross. And for what? To become a fugitive criminal again after this operation, hunted by the very governments he's saving. Whereas, if he lets 813 succeed, he becomes part of the most powerful criminal organization in Europe, protected and enriched beyond measure. Senator Legrasse's words echo in his mind. My reputation can be restored. Can yours? And von Kesselbock's die in trust. You're the only man in Europe who can unravel this. Lupin realizes the choice isn't between being criminal or hero. It's between being a thief with honor or a murderer with wealth. The distinction that's defined his entire identity comes down to this moment. The closing dinner proceeds with Baroque ceremony. European leaders toast to peace, to cooperation, to the end of dangerous militarism. Waiters serve courses with practiced precision. Lupin, seated at a coordinator's table overlooking the event, watches plates moving according to the substituted plan he's implemented. The 813 operatives posing as servers don't know they're delivering diluted poison to empty seats. But then, something goes catastrophically wrong. One of the genuine Belgian servers, not knowing about the switched plan, picks up what appears to be a marked plate and begins carrying it toward Prime Minister Briand's table. Lupin realizes with horror, one actually poisoned plate has escaped his sabotage, and it's about to reach a target. Think about his options in this split second. detective. He can't shout a warning without exposing his betrayal and triggering 813's backup plans. He can't reach the dining floor without causing diplomatic incident. He can't communicate with anyone who might intercept the plate. What does he do? Lupin does something completely insane. He stands, stumbles as if drunk, and accidentally collides with the server carrying the poisoned plate. It crashes spectacularly to the floor in front of dozens of witnesses. The diplomatic dinner halts in shocked silence. Lupin apologizes profusely in slurred French, playing an intoxicated coordinator who's disgraced himself at a historic event. Security escorts him from the room in humiliation. His cover as Armand Devereux is destroyed. He appears to be an incompetent drunk who've ruined a formal dinner. But more importantly, the poisoned plate never reached its target. Prime Minister Briand is safe, and the most immediate assassination attempt has failed through apparent accident. But Dobrel isn't fooled. In the corridor outside, he confronts Lupin with cold fury. That wasn't drunkenness, that was sabotage. You're not Devereux, you single quotes Recognition dawns in his eyes. Arsène Lupin, you've been infiltrating us. He reaches for his weapon, but Lupin is faster, disarming him and knocking him unconscious. Now Lupin's cover is completely blown. 813 knows he's betrayed them. Within minutes, every operative in Brussels will be hunting him. But he's accomplished his mission. All 3 assassination attempts have failed. The summit will conclude successfully. The peace treaties will be signed. The question is whether he'll survive to see it. He flees into Brussels' night streets, pursued by 813 operatives and ironically by legitimate police who think he attacked Inspector Sholmes arranges safe passage to a British diplomatic vehicle. But not before a dramatic chase through the old city where Lupin must use every skill he's ever developed to evade capture. In the British Embassy's secure room, Sholmes treats Lupin's injuries from the chase. You saved them. Briand, Bateman Holbeck, Gray, all alive because you stopped 8. The peace treaties will be signed tomorrow. You've prevented a war, but Lupin's response is hollow. At what cost? I became what I hunted. I crossed every line that separated me from them. I used people, manipulated innocence, participated in conspiracy. The fact that I betrayed it at the end, does that actually redeem what I did along the way? Think about this question, my apprentice. Lupin saved millions of potential war casualties, but he did it by becoming temporarily evil, by sacrificing his moral identity. Is he a hero who descended into darkness to serve light, or a criminal who merely chose one form of crime over another? The victory feels more like survival than triumph. Inspector Ganimard arrives with news. Dobrel and 12 other identified 813 members have been arrested, but dozens more escaped, including the leadership. Leonidas vanished completely. We've disrupted them, not destroyed them. They'll rebuild, probably with better security, against infiltration. It's a partial victory. Immediate crisis averted, but systemic threat remaining. So tell me, detective, did Lupin win? He prevented assassinations, but 813 survives. He maintained his honor, but only by destroying his reputation as Devereux. He saved nations, but those nations will never officially acknowledge his sacrifice, because doing so reveals their own vulnerabilities. It's the loneliest kind of victory, successful but unrecognized, meaningful but hollow. The episode ends with Lupin watching from hiding as European leaders sign peace treaties at the summit's conclusion, celebrating diplomatic triumph. They'll never know how close they came to death, how their peace was purchased with one criminal's moral sacrifice. Lupin turns away from the celebration and walks alone into an uncertain future. Join me next time for the season finale, The Choice and the Sacrifice, where we'll discover the personal cost of Lupin's infiltration. the relationships destroyed by his deceptions, and the final answer to the question, is Arsène Lupin ultimately hero or villain? When all masks fall and all truths emerge, who is the man beneath?